So you're considering a move to North Idaho, and you've been hearing that North Idaho winters are the worst thing ever, and they will ruin you and send you home crying. Well, maybe that's bad intel, or maybe it's true. If that question is keeping you up at night, you are in the right spot, because in this video, I'm going to bring you 5 myths about North Idaho winters. All right, let's jump right in. My name is Seth Horst. I'm retired law enforcement. And in fact, our entire real estate team is prior or current law enforcement. And the reason I tell you that is so that you know and understand the work ethic and integrity that you'll get when you do a real estate transaction with us, whether it's buying or selling, or if you're new to the area. If you're new to the channel or just haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. And we put out quite a bit of content. Also, look for us on social media at Your North Idaho Agent. Hey, we get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, give us a holler. Let's get that conversation started so we can help you make a smooth move right here to North Idaho. All right, here we go. 5 myths about North Idaho winters. I got some good ones on the list here, so stick around to the very end so I can give you all of this fantastic information. Myth number 1, Idaho is buried in snow. That hasn't been my experience. As you probably know, I grew up on the East Coast, upstate New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. I lived in Alaska for a little bit. All of these areas get a lot of snow, a lot more than we get here. In fact, I've been somewhat disappointed. I bought a big beefy snowblower when we moved here, and I do use it, but I don't use it very often. And sometimes it's only for a couple of inches just because I feel bad and I want to run the engine on it. So it depends on where you come from in the world, whether you feel like we get a lot of snow here or not. The average North Idaho snowfall is between 40 to 60 inches. That is on average for North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene up to Sandpoint. We're talking those areas. 40 to 60 inches is not that bad. If you compare that to some other areas, such as, here's one, Lake Tahoe in California, they got over 60 feet of snow last year. That's a whole different realm. So compared to a place like that, if you lived there and moved here, you're going to be sadly disappointed. There's just not that much snow. I had some clients move up here from Lake Tahoe last year, and I was showing them houses, and they were talking about snow load and snow shed. And I was like, you guys don't have to worry about all that. They came from Tahoe and they got that 60 feet. And I mean, where do you put all that snow? It's an incredibly challenging thing to deal with. So they were pleased to know it's quite a bit less than that area. The part of Idaho that gets the most amount of snow is a place called Island Park. It's in East Idaho, and they are sitting at about 18 feet a year. So still less than a third of what Tahoe got. Pretty amazing. 18 feet is still a lot of snow. Most of the snow that we get here melts off fairly quickly. So for example, we just had a roughly 2-day storm. We got maybe 4 inches. It turned to slush pretty quickly afterwards. We had 1 day of difficult driving. For some reason, they didn't plow very much, and it was pretty slippery for a little bit. But today it's just a sloppy mess and it's raining. So that's where you need good muck boots, or at least some type of waterproof boot. But in general, the snow doesn't always stick around that long. There are times, of course, where there is snow on the ground for weeks or a few months at a time. That does happen, but generally it's not huge, enormous piles of snow. So there you go. Myth number 1, Idaho is not buried in snow. All right. Myth number 2, Idaho is too cold. Once again, it does depend on where you come from in the world, but it is not that cold on average. Average low temps in North Idaho during the winter months are in the high 20s and low 30s. And that may sound cold to you, but I assure you it's not that bad if you have a nice down jacket and some gloves and some warm boots. You'll be fine. In Coeur d'Alene, there are only, on average, 1.9 days when the nighttime low temperature is below zero. So less than 2 days out of the year, on average, it gets down below zero. that's really not that bad. Coeur d'Alene is one of the warmest parts of Idaho, and that may be from the geography of the area or a lake effect, something along those lines, but it tends to not be that bad. And remember, in the wintertime, I tell my wife this all the time. She bundles up with like 3 jackets, and I'm like, you're going to walk to the car, which will take you 20 seconds. You're going to get where you're going. You're going to walk into wherever you're going, which will take you another 30 seconds, maybe. And then you're taking all that off. So you just need to endure that short period of time when you're walking to your car, from car to wherever you're going. That's it. So you don't need all that. That's why you see kids in North Idaho wearing t-shirts dang near all year round, because it's not that big a deal. Just dress appropriately. And they make all sorts of heated gloves, socks, things like that, vests. You can buy all that stuff if you want. And you might find that after your first winter here, you're pretty well acclimated and it's not that big of a deal anymore. But it might take you a winter to get used to it. Another thing to do is to remember to heat up your car. And this is where having a remote start on your car is a huge benefit. Also, a lot of garages and shops here are heated, or heat can be added fairly easily. So that's a good option as well. You have a heated garage. Don't keep it at 80 degrees. That's not worth it. Ours is at like 42, maybe, somewhere in there, 45, somewhere in there. Just enough so it's not frozen and it doesn't take an enormously long time to heat up the car once you jump into it from there. So that's pretty much it. It's not that cold. So I'd say myth number 2 is busted, as they say. All right. Myth number 3, you'll be stuck indoors for months. There might be a partial truth to that. Winter months are generally November through March. And November is kind of hit or miss. It can be decent weather. What are we at? We're at the beginning of December right now. We just had our first real snowstorm. Most of it is melting off already. November was really not bad. There were some cold days, but we did get a lot of sunshine still. So like I said, it really depends. It can be hit or miss, but you can pretty much guarantee December through March are at least going to be pretty cold and fairly gloomy. The days are short. Winter solstice is December 22nd this year. So we are creeping up on that another 3 weeks or so, and we'll be at the shortest day of the year. It is dark in the morning until 7-ish, and 7:18 is sunrise. Sunset has been like early 4 o'clocks, I think, is when we're seeing the sunset right now. So it's a relatively short day. We're going to get a little bit shorter, and then we're going to start creeping back up. And before you know it, it'll be spring. So you're not necessarily going to be stuck indoor for months. Holiday season takes up some of that time. You hit Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and all of that's kind of a blur, of course. And so you don't really notice that the weather's starting to change. The tougher months, January, February, March. February being probably the toughest. That's when you need to find activities to do. If you're into outdoor activities, that's fantastic, but you don't have to be. There are plenty of indoor things to do. The Kroc Center, KROC, is a fantastic resource here in town. They've got tons of space inside, indoor rock gym, giant gymnasium, pools, water slides. What else? Obviously weights and things like that. So a lot going on there. You get into yoga, go to church. Indoor rec sports are a big thing out here too. Learn a new skill, catch up on some Netflix shows if that's your thing. You can always go downtown because that's absolutely gorgeous this time of year with all the Christmas lights. Then we have some indoor amusement type park options. Let's Triple Play is right in Hayden, I guess. Hayden, Coeur d'Alene, somewhere along the line there. That can be a good option for you as well for indoor stuff. Outdoor activities, of course, we have anything snow related, snowmobiling, skiing, snowboarding. We've got 5 ski mountains within an hour and a half of Coeur d'Alene. Cross country skiing is very big up here. Ice fishing, ice skating. So there are no shortage of things to do. You just need to take the initiative and go out and find that little community with whatever it is that you want to do. It probably exists. Underwater basket weaving, whatever, go find it. You can do it. The important thing is to stay busy during those months. There you go. So stuck indoors for months, maybe a few months, not the end of the world. I'm going to call that a myth anyway, because it is what you make of it. Myth number 4, winter is gloomy. This is maybe a half truth. I'm going to give them that, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to get around that because it's manageable. Let me just say it that way. December through March, average cloudiness is about 70% of the day. So you could look at it that way, or you could look at it 30% of the day. It's not cloudy. There you go. And I don't mean every day, right? That's on average. So let's say 70% of the days are cloudy. That makes more sense. 30% are not. And sometimes you get those days that are partly cloudy, so the sun will peek through. And when the sun comes out and there's snow on the ground, it is extremely bright. That's a great time to get outside, get some vitamin D, take your shirt off, run around a little bit, go jump in the lake, do all that stuff, get it in while you can. The gloomiest month is January, and that makes sense. That's when we have the most cloudy days on average, and holidays are over. You're regretting all the eating decisions that you made, and the days are still relatively short. So that month can be tough. That is a great time to go out and travel, by the way. So most people here, they travel in January, February, somewhere in there. Go somewhere warm or go visit family, do something. And that's how you kind of help beat that. Don't travel. Do not travel in the summer. We learned that quickly. This place is heaven on earth. So there's no reason to leave here. People need to come visit you in the summer. Do not leave anywhere. You go out in the wintertime is when you go to your traveling. That's a pro tip for you. So some things that you can do to kind of beat that gloominess. Some of these are obvious, right? Hang out in front of a fire. So if you have a gas fireplace or a wood fireplace in your home, that's a great spot to hang out. That is very uplifting. Get yourself a cup of coffee, snuggle up with the Frenchie on the couch. I'm talking about a dog, not a woman, and soak up that fire. That's a great thing to do. Also, when the sun shines, get outside. Go outside and get in the sun. Take your hat off. Let it hit your face. If you're a beast, take your shirt off. That's for the men out there. Women, you understand. And get some sun on your body and get that vitamin D. Also, supplement with vitamin D. I take a vitamin D supplement every day, and I swear it helps. They also make light therapy devices. So this is something that I purchased probably last winter. I have a couple of them in my office, and Dave just mocks me every time I turn it on. But I turn it on, and it casts a bright light at whatever frequency they deemed appropriate. And it just kind of feels like it's bright. So I find that to be pretty helpful myself. It's a good option. So yes, I'm going to give that a half truth. Winter can be gloomy, but there are ways around it. Be the master of your own destiny. Don't fall into being a victim, and you can conquer the winter here in North Idaho. All right. Myth number 5. Last one of the day. That myth is that you need a truck in North Idaho. You hear that a lot. I have to buy a truck. There are 2 reasons that people own trucks. Either they need it or they're overcompensating. That all depends on the size of the lift on your truck. In reality, there are a large mixture of vehicles up here. All-wheel drive is nice. 4-wheel drive is nice. Plenty of people get around on 2-wheel drive cars, even rear-wheel drive cars. It's all doable. It's all about driving appropriately in the bad weather. And also, you should totally go out and get snow tires. They are an expense that is worth it. As I told my wife the first year, it's a lot cheaper than paying the insurance deductible or your car insurance going up month after month after you crash your car. So yeah, you might drop $1,000 on snow tires. However, they are an absolute game changer in the winter here. We went through the first season without them on my wife's car, and she was terrified to drive. Like, it gave her anxiety because I didn't realize she was sliding all over the place. We got them the second year, and it just changed her life. She's completely confident now, has not had any issues. They work wonderfully. So snow tires, I learned, the reason they have such better traction is the rubber is a lot softer. As the air is colder outside, normal rubber on tires gets harder and you lose some of that grip. These stay softer in colder temperatures and the grippiness remains. So even on very icy surfaces, they have a great amount of traction on them. You can get them studded as well. Unless you absolutely need them, I would not recommend it studded. I am no tire expert, but from personal experience, we had studded cars in our patrol vehicles believe it or not, back when I worked in California. And at speed on a dry freeway, we found those tires to be extremely unstable and slippery. So if you try to make a U-turn on the freeway, not that you're going to be doing that necessarily, but turning other things, they tend to be very slippery on dry pavement. They're great in ice. So if you have a driveway that's really steep and you absolutely need them, then you get them. Like, you don't want to put chains on your car every day to go home. It's worth it in that scenario. If you live in town and you're doing relatively flat driving all the time, you'll be just fine on regular snow tires. That's my little tip to you. Let's see here. I remember growing up, my very first car was a front wheel drive. I had crappy tires on it, and I got everywhere in the snow. There were no snow tires back then, at least as far as I knew. I certainly didn't have any. And I didn't have great tread on that car, but it was front wheel drive and that thing could go absolutely anywhere. And so there you go. That's a personal experience for you. They work just fine. You also don't necessarily need a truck to get around in the woods. Most of the roads here, there are a lot of gravel roads, especially as you get farther away from town. They're mostly graded well and pretty flat. So you don't really need a truck. If you look around town, there are a lot of Subarus, a lot of Toyotas, any of those all-wheel drive vehicles. They do phenomenal in adverse weather conditions, and they do phenomenal on gravel and minor off-road stuff. So you can definitely get by in North Idaho without a truck. I say that, but I have a truck and I really enjoy it. So there's that. All right. Hey, thank you guys for watching this video about 5 myths on North Idaho winters. We get the question all the time, are these winters bad? Like, can I do it? And some people, they do tuck tail and run back to wherever they came from. That does happen. So I don't want you to live in fairy tale land and think that it's all good and it's totally manageable. But if you come up here with the right mindset and why you're moving here, you can't have this kind of natural beauty and the rugged outdoors without dealing with some adversity as well. So that's the lifestyle you're looking for. Then just deal with it, figure it out, use some of the tips that I gave you. Call me if you have more questions about that, or you want some videos of what it looks like to driving in snow. There are classes you can take up here to learn about driving in snow. So that's an option. And, you know, wintertime, it's not that bad if you have the appropriate clothing and, like I said, the appropriate mindset. So whether you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, give me a call, text, or email, especially if you have very specific questions about winter weather up here. And I will answer that for you and get those questions answered. And hopefully we can help you make a smooth move right here to North Idaho. Thank you, guys.